So Denzel, the main thing I wanted to talk to you about was I saw that you were out in Spain sparring with Conor Benn for Chris Eubank. I just wanted to know how that
Yeah,
opportunity came about.
yeah. Tony Sims has been down to our gym. He's been down to his gym, sparring a lot, especially last year. Was sparring George Liddard and Jimmy Sains quite a bit for Derek Osaze fight and the Brad Paul's fight. So he was helping me in camp and stuff with these fighters. And then one day he just asked me, he said, "Oh, Connor's over in Mallorca sparring or training or doing his camp for Chris Eubank. Would you mind coming out and helping him?" And one thing led to another, and then I ended up in Mallorca.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
there's obviously no better middleweight in the country really than you at the moment, British champion, and you've fought for world honours. Just how did he cope with yourself? Because that's the main thing that the big question around Conor is how is he going to deal with a middleweight of that size? So yeah, how did he deal with you?
Yeah, I think he done his thing. You know what I'm saying he held his own. I mean, they were competitive spars. You know what I mean? Depending on um certain spots in the ring, like where I was and things that I done or mistakes that I made and stuff like that. But it was a very competitive spar. I mean, he's more than strong enough. He might not be tall enough or big enough, or whatever, but he's definitely strong enough to hold his own at at middleweight, at middleweight, light middleweight, and against Eubank, in my opinion. Because looking at Eubank more recently, he hasn't been the most of physical fighters. He's like to try and box and keep it clean. He's not the Eubank that we know coming through the gates, or even in losses, he still looked dangerous and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like when he fought guys like George Groves, or when he fought Billy Joe, or when he knocked out Yildirim. Like, we haven't seen that version of Eubank for a long time. But Conor Benn is probably more of that old Eubank than Eubank is now. He's training really hard out in Mallorca. Like just seeing it firsthand, I can only judge by what I've seen. He's training really hard, putting a lot of effort into his training in the spars. He's explosive. He's strong physically, and although he may not look like the smartest in the ring, he's a good listener. So when Tony's giving him instructions on things, he knows how to follow it and do it. And obviously Tony Sims is a good coach, and he'll be good that he'll be making a good game plan for him, and I think he'll follow it to a T.
Yeah, with Connor, there's a lot of uncertainty about him because he hasn't really fought anybody in like
Hmm.
he's probably his best win you'd probably say maybe Chris Algieri, but then we're like, where was Chris in his career? Would you say he's in that world class bracket? Obviously, he's naturally a welterweight.
Yeah. People. Firstly, I mean, the whole welterweight thing. I don't think he'll be making welterweight again. The work he's been putting on, especially with his S&C and the muscle he's been building. I think the 2 years that he had off probably done him done him a whole load of good for this fight. He was probably less prepared and lighter and not as physical 2.5 years ago when he was actually a welterweight compared to now where he hasn't made welterweight for 2 years. Been building the muscle, he's been training, he's kept in the gym, but hasn't had to cut any weight. So that weight to welterweight, I think, would hurt him if he cuts it again. He might be able to do it, but in my opinion, I think he's strong. But I think if he was a welterweight now, he could fight for world honors 100%. I mean, you got guys like you got Boots, Staniosis, and
Barrios.
uh, Barrios.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Boots. We look at him. He's one of them special talents, one of a kind of thing, special talent. So obviously, I'm not going to go as far and say he could beat Boots, but he can have a good fight with Boots. He could probably beat Barrios, and I ain't seen much of Staniosis, but that would be a good fight too because they're just going to come forward. They're gonna meet in the middle, him and Staniosis, and he can compete at these levels. You know what I'm saying? I mean, fighting for world honors and losing, there's no shame in that. I mean, that's the top of the tree. Do you know what I mean? So I think he could definitely compete with those guys at welterweight. At light middle, we probably need to see how this fight goes because light middle is a dangerous division. You got some killers there. You got Virgil Ortiz, you got Madrimov, and those aren't even the world champions yet. And then you got obviously Fondora, he's a tall guy. And then you got I'm not sure Charlo's the champion, but the IBF champion, I don't have to say his name. He's a beast in himself. Do you know what I mean? So it'll be good to see how he handles Chris Eubank Jr. And then obviously we can all make a decision on how we hold it up at 154. But at 147, I'd say yeah, definitely he could.
Yeah, with him, at 154. His last two fights have been at 154, I think, in that kind of
Yeah,
since the cancelled Eubank fight. The power doesn't look like it quite transferred to light middleweight from welterweight. What would your
yeah,
opinion now? Maybe he's done a bit more S&C, maybe he's filled into the weight a bit more. What would you say in terms of his power when you were sparring?
yeah. I mean, the first thing at welterweight, he's wearing 8 ounce gloves, so of course it's going to be a lot more effective. And then you're wearing 10 ounce gloves, so probably soak up a little bit more of his powers. I mean, like I was saying earlier, even if his power isn't enough to knock out Eubank, it's enough to gain his respect and make Eubank feel like, okay, I can't just walk into any shot. I'm not just gonna, I can't just ride these shots. I'm not just gonna that he's got enough power to hurt me if I get caught with a silly shot. So that's good enough in any fight. Um, in terms of keeping up at was the question keep up at 154 with that power?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got enough power, and obviously his last two fights at 154. Of course, he was going through a lot in trying to beat his case. So we don't know where his mind was. We don't know what type of camps he had or the preparation he had to get ready. That's just obviously just it's facts in it. It's not um me trying to defend anything or anyone, but where he was and that point of life in his career, he said it must have been fried. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to have a camp and go through all these things and still get these knockouts and perform to your optimal best because you're fighting something on the outside. You know what I'm trying to say? So I ain't gonna judge those two. You've got to see how he handles Chris, and then if he does drop that down to light middle, or if he wants to go the extra mile, drop down to 147, then we'll see how he reacts. But yeah, probably just wasn't in the right headspace to perform how he needed to. That's just an observation. Yeah,
yeah. How did the his power compare to other middleweights you've been in the ring with?
that's a good question. It was different. I mean, a lot of middleweights, technically, the middleweights I fought have had like heavier hands. Obviously, just more like a thump. Whereas his, where we saw explosive and fast, it's the impact is there. But with certain other middleweights, it probably wouldn't even have had to have been that explosive and fast for me to feel it, if that makes sense. Just because just bigger frames, bigger hands, bigger wrists is just more of like a thump. Do you know what I mean? But he puts a lot into his like every shot he throws, he wants to knock you out with. So you're gonna feel something. You're gonna feel a little bit of a, oh, okay, cool. Don't get caught with that again, because you know what I'm saying? Like it, it it can back you up, it can slow you down, or you just don't want to get him silly shots. So he's got good enough power, and it's a good question, man. It's a good question because I'm trying to think of how I felt when I was in there taking his power. Um, and of course, when he did land the shots, I did feel them. It wasn't like a buzz or damn, I'm out of my feet, but they were heavy enough in it.
Yeah. In terms of this is something I still it shocks me because I was an amateur fighter like yourself. You grow up wanting a world title, and he turned down the
Yeah.
shot with Barrios for this fight. He said he'd rather knock out Chris Eubank Jr. than win a world title. Just kind of how has he been in camp? Is he just so focused on beating this man? Is it how personal is it to him, this kind of fight?
Um, I mean, between the two of them, it's obviously personal now, but I think it's more personal because they're both fighting for their family name. They're fighting in honor of their fathers, and no one wants to let. Can you hear me? Am I still there?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And no one wants to. Neither of them want to let their father down. You know what I mean? Like so, they're both got to be training really hard. So he's got to be focused. I mean, his dad's in camp with him, and if he does lack motivation, which I don't think he does, he's going to look to his dad and be like, "I'm doing this for you, man. I got a coach." I was going to say, so he's training really hard. Obviously, you might probably training hard too, but I haven't seen it, so it just feels like I'm just all on one side. But I can only speak on what I've seen or what I am seeing. Do you know what I'm saying? So I know he's training really hard. He doesn't really need a lot to be motivated. I think he plays tricks with himself in his mind and just tells himself like, nah, I got to do this. You know what I mean? He's one of them type of guys. Like he doesn't need anyone else to motivate him, basically. But I'm sure if he looks at his dad, he gets that extra bit of energy and be like, nah, I got to make this man proud. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what makes the fight interesting. That's what makes it good. And obviously, I know what I've said about the fight before about, oh, this fits and it shouldn't be happening, blah, blah, blah. That was just me trying to draw Eubank out. But obviously, he's here now and it's being made. And you see what's on the line and the press off and the egg slap and all these back and forth, the Piers Morgan show. And you're like, you know what? let's see this fight, man, because it's getting personal in it. It's getting a bit tasty, and everyone likes when a fight's personal. It's obviously always better. But I think it is very personal for both their own reasons. And in terms of him turning down that fight with Barrios, if he does go in there with Eubank and he loses, that shot is still there. The risk is more on Eubank. If Eubank goes in there and loses, he's not getting a shot at anything because you lose to someone that's a welterweight or not on your level or blah 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 whatever. He hasn't fought anyone. How are you going to get a world title shot at your own weight class? You know what I mean? Whereas if he did lose to Barrios, Conor Benn, that is, and it was a bad loss, the Eubank fight might not be as prominent as it is now. Like, be like, oh, we'll still see it, but he just lost to Barrios. You know what I'm saying? And if he does lose to Eubank, he can still go down, fight Barrios, win a world title, and his career's fine.
Mhm.
So there's options. It's like, what's the smarter route to take? Fight Eubank, make stupid amount of money, win, fight Barrios, fight Eubank, make stupid amounts of money, lose, fight Barrios. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter which way it goes, it's there. So it's just like, all right, Barrios could wait. Barrios is gonna want me just because of my name anyway. Go fight Eubank. However that turns out, that fight is still on the table. I can still be a world champion or whatever. So I guess it's a small and it's more personal. He probably does want to knock out Eubank right now. Like, you know what? This has been brewing for like 2.5 years. I'm not about to let this slip. Let me go and beat this guy up quickly and then go back and handle Barrios at my own weight if he decides to go back down there.
Have you sparred with Eubank in the past? I know you've obviously had your back and forth over the.
Never, never. We did actually ask for sparring. I can't remember who he was fighting. It might have been around the times he was fighting no, not Liam Smith, Liam Williams or Marcus Morrison. I can't remember. We asked for sparring back then, and no one got back to us. But I think no one asked him directly. We asked Funny Davis in it, and if he isn't in the gym in Brighton, then there's nothing Funny Davis can do. I don't know. The guy trains all over the world, so yeah, never materialized and just whatever. Innit?
So, what do you think happens on April the 26th? How do you think this fight goes?
I think we see an explosive fight. I think we see a very good fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if Conor hurts him at any point in the fight. Obviously, it's expected that Eubank is more likely to hurt Conor because he's bigger, and I can see that too. But I think when it comes to if it does come to the gas tank and digging into the well, Eubank is fit, but the work Conor Benn's been putting in makes me more confident to feel like he can dig deeper than Eubank if they both need to. That makes sense. But still a very close fight, man. It just depends what version of Eubank we get. And if we don't get the best version of Eubank, I think Conor can do him. But if we do get the best version of Eubank, it's going to be a very hard fight.
Yeah. How did Connor take your power?
That's a good question. Connor's tough, man. He's even when I fought him 2.5 years ago for the first fight, I'd hit him with shots and he just come straight back at me. I think this kid is tough. Like, you know what I mean, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, he's tough. Like, he's got no quit in him. Like, it was weird. I'm like, I'm hitting this guy with shots and he's not trying to back up, or he might take a step back and come straight back at me. But it's like when he gets hit, he gets angrier. He's like, I shouldn't have got hit with that. I'm coming to get you. Do you know what I mean? It was more like that. So it made every spar we had tough in that sense because he was always going to bring it. So yeah, he handled it well. I mean, look, we've done 8 rounds every time we sparred, and we got through the 8 rounds. At no point did the spar stop because anyone was hurt or there was a problem or anyone got cut or there was swelling or anything. At no point did it stop. It just flowed through the 8 rounds. So yeah, he took my power quite well, but of course it's different in smaller gloves and no head guard. I'm saying I can't say he took my power well, so he's going to take Chris's power well because I've never felt Chris's power, but how Chris hits in 10-ounce gloves and no head guard would be different to how I'm hitting in 16-ounce gloves and head guard. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's hard to judge, but yeah, he did take my power well.
In terms of how Chris fights this fight, I was wondering where did you have a lot of your success? Was it keeping a range boxing with him, or was it being that physical guy with him?
Do you know what's so mad? I don't answer that question because I might give away too much. Because like if I tell you where I had my success, someone could be watching and saying, "Oh, that's what Eubank needs to do." Then I'm gonna say. So
Yeah,
I don't really want to do that. Still, I feel like I'm giving up too much information, and they're still in camp. The fight's not done. It's not even like it's fight week,
yeah,
and I kind of say a little bit more because the fight's like no one's changing their
yeah.
game plan now. We've still got a fair few amount of weeks to kind of get ready. So yeah, I don't want to say that yet.
That's fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. I thought I'd travel up.
Yeah.
Well then, similar question, I suppose, in a way. What Eubank do you think needs to show up in terms of this new one who's been trying to maybe box a little bit more, or that old one who we remember with George
Nah,
Hughes, where he was just a
nah.
physical guy?
Yeah, we need the old Eubank. The new Eubank. I don't think. I don't think the new Eubank has as good a chance as the old Eubank, but it's going to be very hard to dig back to get that old Eubank back. And I think ultimately it's all down to the way he's training for this fight. If he's training for this fight with mad intensity and whatever, we might can get that old Eubank. But if not, then we've got the new Eubank. It's a lot more slow to react. Because we saw him fighting Zermeta, and Zermeta was landing a good few overhand rights. Connor's going to be chucking those overhand rights. I'm telling you, he's going to be chucking them overhand rights. And you don't want to just keep getting hit with shots that you don't need to get hit with. You know what I mean? Especially getting backwards with your head high. Look, you got the job done in that fight, but you made so many mistakes that made me think, oh, don't let me get my hands on you. So I'm thinking what Connor's thinking, like, yeah, I'm getting my hands on this guy. And if he makes those mistakes he made against fighters like that because he's underestimating me because I'm smaller, he's going to find out.
In terms of your own fight with Eubank, have you kind of given up on that now?
Yeah, pretty much, man. I hate chasing fights that ain't going to happen, bro. Like,
Yeah.
it's a bit annoying. Like, I'm not in this for like the gimmicks and oh, let me use this to build my name and let me do this and blah, all the games. I don't have time for the games. Like, it's long, so there's no point of me chasing something that's more than likely never going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I mean, let's say I win a world title and then maybe he wants a shot at it, then maybe it's a bit closer. Then okay, maybe it's more realistic. It's the same thing with Hamza. Everyone kept asking me questions about this fight, and I knew it wasn't going to happen just because of the way he's been responding, because of the answers I'm getting from the office when I am asking for this guy, and it's just like, come on, man, stop asking me. Go and ask him, and you'll find out if you're going to fight or not. Same thing with Chris. Like everyone keeps saying, yeah, just keep calling him out, and I'm like, why? Why? Like, imagine you're just messaging a girl every day and she's not replying. Bro, you're just gonna stop soon, isn't it? It's like you're just chasing nothing. Like keep messaging this girl like hi morning, and then she's just like airing you. Like what am I still what am I wasting my time for? Like I feel like I'm just chasing something that I'm not getting, so it's just dead,
That's a great comparison. Yeah.
man.
In terms of the rehydration clause, what's your opinion on it? How much of an effect do you think that'll have on Chris, you being a
I
middleweight
don't.
yourself?
It won't have any effect on Chris because I think Chris is smart, man. He's saying everything he needs to say to make everyone feel like he's at a disadvantage, and he's not. Um, Look, £10 is more than enough for the next day. Depends when they're stepping on the scales. I'm guessing it'll be 12 noon the next day. Yeah, that's perfect. You still got the rest of the day from 12 noon when you weigh in till whatever to rehydrate or whatever, or get some more fluid in you. But I don't think I have an effect on him. Chris isn't a big guy like that. I know he fought at 168, but I think he was walking around fairly close to the weight when he was at 168. Um, I don't see him hydrating that much over £10. So that's 4.5 kilos. Yeah, I don't see him hydrating that much over £10. Um, Even when he walks around, when he's not fighting, he doesn't ever look like he's far off his weight. You know what I mean? He's never like swelled up like, oh, you look kind of massive. Oh, how much weight? Like no one's ever like no one really looked at him and be like, well, how much you have to cut? Or no one's looked at him and been like, oh, it must be hard for you to make middleweight. You're quite big and all that. No one's ever done that. The guy's got abs all year round. I don't see how big he is. I don't think he's gonna struggle with that £10. I think he's gonna be so comfortable in that £10 hydration limit, but he's just milking it for everyone to think that he's at a disadvantage. You know what I mean? So he's just gonna be like, yeah, look, I can't do anything. I can't eat. I gotta hold it £10. No, I can't. But I'm at a disadvantage, guys. He's just milking it. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah. You don't think there's almost like an element of him saving something as an excuse if he loses?
That's also a shout. Oh, he made me do this. I couldn't do this, and da 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 da. But it's at 160. You made 160 for your last four fights. You're a 160 fighter. Um, he made. I don't know what he's made in after the weigh-in. I can't tell you that, but you made 160 comfortably. The one time you did make the 159 or whatever, it was to show to Conor that you made the fight. I feel like when the fight got called, he kind of stopped training and just done like 10 hot baths to try and, do you know what I mean? To try and like look like, yeah, I made the weight. So he looked very drained and fatigued. And that's probably why he went into the Smith fight and got knocked out like that. Because he put your body through so much torture and didn't really let himself recover. Got straight into another fight and had to cut weight again. That's hard on your body. I'll give him that. That is very hard on your body. But after that, when he did recover, whatever, he looked a lot better in the rematch. I think he can make 160 quite comfortably. I know he is getting older and it is harder to lose weight as you go older, but he doesn't look like he walks too far from it anyway. So I think all of these little things, he probably could use that as excuses, but he shouldn't because you're fighting a welterweight at the end of the day.
In terms of yourself, obviously that big win over Brad Paul's a lovely fight. I really enjoyed that one.
Mm.
What are we looking at is next for you?
Just waiting, man. I'm still waiting patiently. Um, of course, the whole incentive after that fight was the winner gets a world title shot, and the governing body that I'm ranked with is currently occupied in Janibek, fighting for defending these titles on April 5th. So I just got to wait till after that fight to see where he goes and what happens. And if I can't get a fight within the summer, I'll probably try and get a fight in between before we go for that. But as for now, I'm just sitting tight, waiting patiently in the gym, taking over, helping out who I can where I can, for sparring and stuff. So yeah, just keeping myself, busy.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try and attempt to pronounce the opponent who he's
Yeah,
fighting.
yeah, neither am I. I haven't even tried, but yeah.
Yeah. Was there any discussion for you to be involved in that show? Because I know there was an offer to Shaquille Thompson.
Yeah, I heard that as well. But no, because it was a voluntary defense. And if I was gonna be an option for that fight, they wouldn't have asked for voluntary defense. They would have just called me on for the mandatory and got that done. But they before my fight with Brad, I think I heard that they asked for a voluntary defense because they wanted to fight back at home and they were granted it. So yeah, I don't think I was ever an option for them.
Yeah, what if you were to go into so it'll be the second time you fought Janibek, obviously. What would you change from the first encounter you had?
I'll just do more. I'd do more. That's all I can say. I'd do. Like it was funny because 2 days ago I was on the treadmill doing a run and I put the fight on and I was just like, I could have been busier, could have done a lot more. But that was me over 2 years ago, inexperienced, getting the call on like a little, not last minute, but I already had a fight penciled in and I had to fight and then go. And it was like, did I have much time to prepare? I didn't have a 12-week camp for it or nothing. I just 5 weeks straight after my fight, back into camp, whatever, fly to Vegas, go over and do my best. You know what I'm saying now it's different. I'm a lot more experienced. I've had a few more fights since then. I've been more active than him. I've grown within myself. I've matured. I feel like I'm stronger, smarter, so I can just do a lot more.
Do you think that shot maybe came a little bit too early for you? But it's obviously something you couldn't turn down.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, exactly. It's something I can't turn down. How can you turn down the chance to go to Vegas to fight for a world title? And I know I'm with a vote and I'm signing that, but there was like, right being rude, there weren't no real plan for me. Like this is the route you're taking. We're gonna get you ranked here, and there wasn't none of that at that time. There wasn't no plan or whatever. It was just like, all right, defend this and we'll see what's next and we'll see what we can get. There wasn't no plan. So it was like, if it might have been different if it was like, no, no, this is your route to a world title and this is what we're gonna do. Then, even though I would have been up for it, my team could be like, no, 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 we got our route. No one's taking no one's taking us off our game. We're going this way, and that's what we're doing. It wasn't that. I had nothing lined up after Morrison. I got offered the fight as I was about to fight Morrison. I think on my fight week or the week before, and it was like, let me wait after the fight. I'll confirm whether I'll accept it or not. Beat Morrison, it was like, okay, cool, let's do it then, innit? Like, we might as well. And it wasn't like, okay, but if you beat Morrison, this is not. It's none of that. You're asking me to go to Las Vegas, fight for world title. I ain't even been in Las Vegas to watch a fight. You asked me to go there and fight there for world title. How the hell am I gonna turn that down? Like this is what dreams are made of. Like especially as a kid, like coming from St. Estate, doing things, trying to be a footballer, and I started boxing late, and then I get to the mecca of boxing to compete for the highest accolade of the sport. Come on, man. How are you about to turn that down? Let me go do my best.
A middleweight fight I really want to speak to you about was Shiraz versus Adames. I just wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, good display from Adamus. I don't think Hamza boxed to the ability that everyone thought he could box at. Um, I don't want to be rude, but I just feel like he didn't dig deep when he needed to. His team told him he was down, he needs a knockout, and at no point did I see him trying to go for that. I mean, look, um, he had a path carved out for him. Whatever he done his route, he done his thing, and he tried and fell short. No shame in that, but at the end of the day, they might have overlooked Adamus, thinking he was the easier of the champions because he was actually mandatory for Janibek. Decided to turn that down and go for Adamus. So I guess it always looks worse when you've carved out your route and you picked on the champion you want and still don't succeed. So you get harsher critics because it's like, oh, hey, you turned down this guy for this guy because you thought it was easier and you still couldn't beat him. Do you know what I mean? But I just think they overlooked him. I'm someone that I keep my eyes on boxing. I knew Adamas was good. I knew we could fight both ways. So they're getting obviously southpaws into to match. Okay, we're gonna fight this guy. He's a southpaw, and he just fought the whole fight orthodox. And it was like, oh, I didn't prepare for this. What do I do? You know what I'm saying? It kind of threw him off his game and made him miss a lot with the head movement. And Adamas is just a quality fighter, to be honest. So, and he hits hard. So Hamza knew if he opened up, there's that chance he can get hurt. So he got caught with some shots, but he took them well. But yeah, I just don't think he showed. He didn't show in that fight world level caliber type of fighter for me. I mean, so yeah.
Yeah, it looks as though he's going up to super middleweight now. So I won't ask you about a fight with
He
Shiraz.
was never going to fight me anyway. That was never in his plans, so it's fine.
In terms of Adames, if you're maybe waiting a bit longer for Janibek and a shot with Adames came up, he's obviously now got a bit of a relationship with Riyadh Season Frank Warren. Is that something you'd be interested in?
100%. He's got one title, right? I need more one title shot next. However, I get it. I get it. But I'd definitely be interested in that. If that could happen, I'll be happy with that.
Who would your ideal pick be of the champions?
I couldn't really care. In all honesty, like I've never thought about it, like, oh, who do I think will suit me? I don't care. Like whoever's more willing to fight is my ideal pick. You know what I'm saying? And I think at the moment it probably will be Adamus who's willing to fight because even though he's a champion, he still wants to make a name for himself. But at the end of the day, I'm number one with the WO. I don't feel like risking my rank and my manager position to try and chase a fight. We don't know could happen because I could lose my rankings coming due to their new law that they implemented when Hamza turned down the opportunity to fight Janibek. You just come out the rankings, and I don't feel like risking that. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, I'd rather stay where I am and fight Janibek if he's still the champion when I fight him.
In terms of his fight, are you going to get out to Kazakhstan at all?
Nah, no chance. No, no, I ain't going there. I watch it from the telly. I'm in the gym. I've got training.
I like
I'm
that.
going over there now.
And are you confident that in the second bout with Janibek that you can beat him?
Yeah, 100%. He fought me unexperienced. Like this guy's had 400 amateur fights, an Olympian, whatever. I don't really go on about my route into boxing or my amateur pedigree, but I have had 17 amateur fights. By the time I fought Janibek, uh, I think I had less than 20 fights. So altogether, I'd had max 37 fights in my whole life in the terms of sports, like professional or amateur, whatever. He had over 400 amateur fights, an Olympian, won all these games, whatever, and I was able to push him to that extent. Now you've given me an extra 2.5 years in the game where I've learnt myself, I've done a bit more, and I've matured within myself and all these things. And I don't think he's an improving fighter. I think he's reached his best. This is how far his best can take him. And I'm from that to then, I've improved a lot. And I feel like I am still an improving fighter just because of my lack of experience in the game. So I feel like I've leveled up a bit more, and I feel like I'll give him more trouble than I did the first time.
Yeah. And we'll finish on a prediction for the April 26th. If I put a gun to your head and I said who's going to win, Chris Eubank Jr. or Conor Benn, who you picking?
I'm going Conor Benn. Yeah, I'm going Conor Benn. If I go back out there and I say Chris Eubank, I might not come back. They might leave me in it. Now I'm joking, I'm joking. I'm going Conor Benn based on what I've seen and what I've experienced in that camp. I know the work he's putting in, so I feel safer knowing that I know what work he's putting in. So I'm going Conor Benn.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Denzel. I really do
No, that's one.
appreciate it.
Cheers, thanks.
Thank you, mate. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Oh, thank you. And
Nice
hopefully
one.
We'll see you in the ring with Janibek soon.
There we go, man. Give me that strap.
Top
Yeah.
man. See you later.
Nice one. Take care.